How is the microphone? Do you know, I'm not even going to wish you good morning. You could just tell me. And it sounds fine. Sounds good. Hey! Okay, I will wish you good morning. How are we all doing? Welcome into twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads. My name is Graham Day, and this man... Is it day 2, day 3? I can't remember what we're on now. Day 2 for you, day 3 for me. This man is the man that we call Bibe. I'll read Bib.
Hello there.
Louis Furno, thank you very much for the host. How's things, dude? Welcome in. Good morning. Lake, who was in early this morning. Good morning. Magic Man says, you call this ish? yeah, kind of. Mr. Gary Clark is here. Morning, boys. Mr. T is here as well. Not that one. The Mr. T. Not the Mr. T, but the Mr. T. Mr. Tassim Anvia, noted industry leaker, is back. Good morning. How the devil are you, sir? Sounds good. That's what we like to hear. That is what we like to hear. Yeah, the sound, the reason I'm asking that, if you're watching this on YouTube and you don't join us for every stream, or maybe you watch us on Twitch and you don't join us for every stream, there is a bug in Streamlabs, which I've seen yesterday that is not exclusive to me. I've seen someone else with Streamlabs has the same thing. There's a weird hitching noise, which makes it sound like you're a little bit robotic / underwater, so it happens. But Iceman, thank you very much for the host, and Magic Man, thank you very much for the host too. Appreciate you all being here. How are we all doing today? Are you all ready for the home day? Are you ready for the weekend? How has the week been for everyone? We have some decent stories. As you can tell, in week 2 of the year, usually the first week back, everyone in the video games industry is like, oh, fuck all the emails. Week 2, all the marketing people are like, yeah, let's release the messages. So we have some stuff to talk about today, which is nice. But anyway, welcome in. If you don't know who I am, my name is Graham, and as mentioned, this is Bibby, and we are Ice Cream Uploads. And in true Ice Creamy fashion, this is The Scoop, the UK's #1 video game podcast, even if we do say so ourselves, and we are going to give you our thoughts and impressions on the biggest and the best and the breaking stories from the world of video games over the last 24 hours, and we want your thoughts and impressions on our thoughts and impressions in return. It would be very good if you could share that with us. Please share those thoughts and impressions with us live here right now on twitch.tv/Ice Cream Uploads, where we go live each and every single weekday at 10 a.m. on the dot-ish. It's 7 minutes past 11. 10 a.m.-ish. True to form. But it's important that you do give us those thoughts and impressions, because we will turn this podcast this video, should I say, this stream into a podcast, a video for YouTube, and an audio podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play. So if you're in the chat, please, as always, feel free to use your voice on behalf of those watching and listening on demand a little bit later on. A couple of things to mention. I'm just going to open up the chat bot because I restarted my PC before we went live and it's not there. First things first, ! Loot drop. Not yet, because chatbot isn't alive. We'll give you the details on our subscriber giveaway, which we do each and every single month. And the second thing, ! Insert coin. Not yet, chatbot still not alive. We'll tell you about our insert coin stream, which we will be doing on official insert coin exactly a week from today. So feel free to join us for that. Feel free to type the links in and let me check. Chatbot is live. Do it now. Yeah, there you go. If you want, you don't have to. But how are we feeling on Wednesday, Bib?
Good, man. Good. I mean, it's odd, isn't it? It's the first time I've seen Aston this week, and it just so happens to be when United go top of the league. All I'm saying is it's far too much of a coincidence. But yeah, I'm good. How are you? I'm sure you're on Cloud9.
It's like me yesterday, balls in every word up kind of thing. I don't want to mention it, because it's all about being a good winner as opposed to a good loser and stuff. But fuck yeah!
Enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, this weekend is the important one, though. United, for those of you that may not have seen, and for those of you that just don't really care about football, unlucky. But this weekend, United play Liverpool at Anfield, so difficult game. If we beat them, we go 6 points clear of them. Would that be 6 points clear in total? I don't know who's actually in there.
It would be 6 points clear of them, and then obviously City have still got 2 games in hand as well, so I think we could still end up being a point behind you.
So, nice.
But yeah, do us a favour and go and beat them.
Would love it.
That'll be amazing.
Would love it.
Yeah, it's one of them things. Like, I know I'm only going back like 10 years now, but when City first won the league, and we hadn't won anything for, we didn't win anything for like 40 years. It's such a good feeling. Like, obviously United aren't even in the same category as what City was like, but just to be top of the league when you haven't been for so long, like United have been well and truly fucking awful for like the last 6 or 7 years, pretty much since Fergie left. you haven't really had that much to shout about. But now it feels like you're starting to build it. I mean, United aren't even playing fucking well. They're not even playing well, and you're still getting 1-0 wins.
I mean, that's the thing.
That's the main thing.
We've stepped up. We're not playing badly either. So we have stepped up. We're on the middle rung. So there's a rung where you on if you play badly, then there's a rung when you play well, and then there's the rung where you play how United have been playing for the last 2, 3, 4 years ish. Sometimes we have played badly. Sometimes we have played exceptionally. But overall, we're playing well enough
for 1-0 wins. 1-0 wins you the league. If you score 38 goals in a season and you win every single match 1-0, it doesn't matter how many goals you've scored in, but it matters about how many points you're getting on the board, and that's exactly what United are doing. It is fucking infuriating, and I know most City fans probably won't even say this, but I'd much rather United win the league than Liverpool do. And that isn't because I've got a rivalry or I don't like Liverpool or anything like that. Being a City fan in the 90s when I was growing up and we was fucking shit, the only other team that I was asked about losing was United, because try being a City fan on a playground in the 90s in Manchester. You're probably like 3 or 4 of you, and the rest would be Man United fans. So
you weren't a City fan though in the 90s. You only became a City fan. What
yeah,
year,
you're
what
right.
Year was it, babe?
2008. But no, it's like growing up, it was all about United winning shit. Like City were winning Division 2 and United was winning the Champions League in the same year. Do you know what I mean? So my rivalry will always be, and I'm sure there'll be other City fans that are my age, my rival will always be with United. Liverpool can try as hard as they want, and they are a fantastic team. But for me, they don't even come close to how our rivals are with United. United's is Liverpool. They're not City. You don't punch down, you punch up, and that's exactly what United and Liverpool have been like. But City, we've always had United as our rivals, so the United City match will always be much more special to me than it will be if it was Man City. Man City and Liverpool could have won the league for the next 10 years between us, every single year, and that rivalry still wouldn't bother me whatsoever. I'd always look forward to playing United.
I need to kind of fully reassess where I am with that now, because I've not really thought about the potential of who would have preferred to win the league. Last season, I would have preferred City to have done something and brought it back, because Liverpool then, it's still a bajillion years since they've won it. Once they've won it, then you kind of think, they've done it now. It's not, if they win it again, it's just the same. And it's kind of the same thing with City winning the league. Please don't make it happen. Please don't make it happen at any costs. Okay, they've won the league. Okay, we might as well just let them do it again, kind of thing. Or wishing that Chelsea comes up and then does something so that City or Liverpool can't do it, because it keeps them both away. Then Chelsea have bought it a few seasons ago. Sorry, Chelsea fans, it's true though. Yeah, like Asim says though, where was the comment? Will mean something after 38 matches. I mean, that's the key thing. I'm enjoying the moment, but
yeah, you got to enjoy the ride.
But it was just 3-4 games ago we were like, oh fuck, we're not in 15th anymore. Yeah, so taking the piss out of Arsenal being the 15th while we were in 5th or whatever it is, and now we're top of the table. So yeah, anything could change. Just like our Masters of the League streams. Yeah, although we just go top and stay there. That's it. But anyway, let's jump into some news. Let me just reset my Chrome source, because the internet in Streamlabs is potato. There we go. Nice. So you may have seen the news yesterday. I quote tweeted it. But there was actually something very brief, but potentially a rabbit hole of different angles of stories that we can go down. I will jump straight in to the news. This is written by Tom Phillips at Eurogamer, and it says Bethesda announces Indiana Jones game from Wolfenstein Games. From Wolfenstein developer Machine Games. Actually, DMCA. I'll stop that. Well, easy tiger. Bethesda has just teased a new project from Wolfenstein developer Machine Games, and it's an Indiana Jones game. All I'm saying is, I watched all 3 Indiana Joneses last week. I'm not saying I knew this was coming. All I'm saying is just a coincidence that I didn't know it was coming. Didn't know it. Danielle's birthday last week, and she loves Indiana Jones, so we watched the Indiana Jones films. But anyway, in a short statement released via Twitter, Bethesda described the project as an original story not based on any existing film, or presumably the upcoming 5th Indiana Jones film due to begin shooting soon. That doesn't exist. Oh, it doesn't say that. It doesn't exist bit at the end, by the way. That's just me adding it in, because the 4th doesn't exist. It'll be some time before we have more to reveal, Bethesda wrote, but we're very excited to share today's news. A brief teaser trailer below gives a few hints as to what to expect. Is this going to play? Yeah, it is nice. I will leave it playing. Does it have music? I'll turn it down. No, I'll mute it because I'm going to keep reading. We see a desk with numerous items belonging to Jones. Books on ancient monuments and items. One apparently written by Todd Howard. A college coffee mug. A battered diary. A compass. Plane ticket to Rome. And a passport stamped by Bethesda. Logos for Machine Games and the new Lucasfilm Games division pop up on an antique typewriter and camera. Then we see Jones's iconic hat and whip. As the start of the series' iconic theme kicks in. Swedish studio Machine Games has made a name for itself as the creator of Nazi-killing games such as Wolfenstein The New Order and follow-up The Old Blood, as well as 2017's Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus and spin-offs Youngblood and Cyberpilot. It's a subsidiary of Bethesda and its parent company, ZeniMax Media, which of course will soon in turn be part of Microsoft. There's no word yet on whether the game will be released first or exclusively for Xbox platforms due to Microsoft's impending purchase of Bethesda. So Indiana Jones cracks his way into video game history once again soon. More details to follow. Bib, what are your thoughts?
I've never really been an Indiana Jones fan, if I'm honest. So I'm technically we've already had these games with Uncharted, and that's such a blasphemous thing to say. But the only Indiana Jones thing that I've really been into is kind of like Tomb Raider and Uncharted. So if the games of that vein, then I would absolutely welcome it. But yeah, I'm not really a massive Indiana Jones film. I've probably seen one, if not a complete like bits and bats of each one. Yeah, I haven't really got much to say about this one. I've not got the affinity with the IP. But again, if it's very much like if it's like Uncharted games, and I imagine this to do very, very well, it will have stupidly large expectations. It's an Indiana Jones game, and it's coming from Bethesda. So I expect this to be of a very, very good standard or a high standard. Whether or not it will match those, I have genuinely no idea. And to a degree, do I care? Will I play it? I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I have to wait to see more from it, but I'm not really an Indiana Jones fan, so it definitely isn't made for me, and my excitement is mild, to put it nicely.
I was a big Indiana Jones fan growing up, and then over the last 10 years or so, I think we've maybe watched them once, so they kind of drifted off. Watched through all 3 of the films last week, which was like, okay, I remember why I love these films. There is no 4th film, even though, where is it? Lake says Crystal Skull. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull doesn't exist. That's a fact. It doesn't exist. If you can find any evidence, that's fake news. That's all I'm going to say. That might be fake news that I'm saying, but it's fake news. So yeah, there is 3 Indiana Jones films. Loved them, and rightly or wrongly, a lot of people say, well, they were the inspiration for Tomb Raider back in the 90s, and following that, Nathan Drake and the Uncharted series, inspired by Tomb Raider and inspired by Indiana Jones. So let's touch on using Tomb Raider and Uncharted, and the point that they mentioned at the very end of the article. There's no word yet on whether the game will be released first or exclusively for Xbox platforms due to Microsoft's impending purchase of Bethesda. Is this Microsoft's Nathan Drake? Have they thought, okay, Indiana Jones has inspired these games. We can start to create our own, and we're going to be tarnished with you were second out to bat on this one. I mean, Microsoft doesn't do that. They never released the Xbox 2 when the PS3 was out, as we've mentioned many times on the show. They went to the 360, so they weren't one behind. Why would they release their Nathan Drake after Nathan Drake's story's finished, essentially? So is this a way for them to get into that genre exclusively? And say, actually, I think you'll find that, yeah, we may be doing it second out to bat, but we're actually bringing the original bat in Indiana Jones. So, mic drop. Could that be what we're looking at? Thoughts, Bib?
No idea.
Difficult question to answer that, to be fair. I mean, the interesting thing here, though, for me, is if we start to pick it apart, for those of you that don't know, this Indiana Jones game is being made by Bethesda. Well, being made by Machine Games and Bethesda. And this is, as the tweet says, a new Indiana Jones games with an original story is in development from our studio, Machine Games, and will be executive produced by Todd Howard in collaboration with Lucasfilm Games. It'll be some time before we have more to reveal, but we're very excited to share today's news. So, Bethesda are sharing this. Bethesda... what was the? I'm literally now. I've started jumping back down the same point that I was just about to make. Is it going to be exclusive? But I can't remember what the original point.
Well, the more I think about it, the more I think that it can't be. As much as I think it can be, I mean, I'm kind of contradicting myself. As much as I think that it may be, I don't think it should be. And I'm not just saying that because I've got a PlayStation, but you play to the biggest install base that you've got.
See,
you have to.
That was the point I was going for. It wasn't the could it be exclusive. It's a case of this is shared on January the 12th, yesterday. Was it September, October, November? Somewhere around that time is where the ZeniMax media story broke. Is there even a link in this? Oh, there is a link in this article. 21st of September is when this the article broke about. I'll show this on screen. Microsoft buying Bethesda and ZeniMax Media for $7.5 billion. Elder Scrolls, Fallout, Wolfenstein, Dishonored, Doom, Prey, Quake, Starfield, and maybe Indiana Jones exclusively. Maybe I don't know. So that was September. So October, November. There's December and the Christmas period in there, and now we're at the very start of January. Is that enough time for an Indiana Jones contract to have been signed, agreed, and that trailer be developed to that sort of point? Is that enough time for that to happen? 3 to 4 months ish. I'm not sure because
Go on, sorry.
I was going to say, if that is the case, if it isn't enough time, then surely at that point Bethesda would be looking at multi-format games there. So Lucasfilm, or Disney as it was at the time, would have signed on for, we want all of your players, not just the green side of the market. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I see Robbo there saying PC plus Xbox bigger than PS4. No. Ideally, I'm going to say no. I think the last count was probably 111 million PlayStation 4s around, and then however many PlayStation 5s now. Xbox got nowhere even close to that, and that isn't obviously that isn't including the PC community as well. Have people got PCs that are able to run these AAA games? Is there that many people? Is there another 70 million people to try and make up the rest of the numbers that will try and compete with the PlayStation market? I think Xbox at this moment in time, they need to have exclusive games, and I absolutely believe that. And Bethesda becoming part of their parent company, shall we say, is a massive move for them and a right move. I'm going to put this in the same category as Elder Scrolls. Like, Elder Scrolls cannot and should not, will not ever be just an Xbox exclusive. I think we had that with Morrowind on the original Xbox because we didn't see that over on the PlayStation, as far as I know. Oblivion obviously did make it over. No, it didn't. Oblivion didn't make it over to the PlayStation. I'm sure that was just PC and Xbox. But why would you play to a smaller install base at this moment in time when if it's your first game that may potentially be coming out? I don't know. I'm conflicted. I believe that they need something to become an Xbox exclusive, but is Indiana Jones the right game for them when it's a brand new IP for them? It's something that they haven't, well, as far as I'm aware, haven't worked on an Indiana Jones game before. It's not as if it's a franchise. It could potentially become a franchise if the game does well. But I think this isn't the game that they need to keep to themselves. They need to have games that they need to do that, because you need something to sell the console as well as it just being a third-party console. Forza, Halo, and that.
There was that news article of Phil Spencer saying that they will not be scared. I mean, his initial comments were, "Oh, we don't plan to take Bethesda to not sell more games." So everyone's like, "Oh, they're going to start making games everywhere." But that was quickly redrafted to, "We won't be scared to look after ourselves first, obviously, and look to make games that will benefit the Xbox ecosystem and have exclusive from our first-party titles." Bethesda is first party now, so that could be exclusive. So they want to sell games everywhere. I imagine commercially Bethesda as a standalone entity would love the idea of having whole of market access.
Yeah.
But Microsoft will also love the idea of having console sellers. Uncharted can sell PS4. The Last of Us can sell a PS4. Miles Morales potentially could have sold PS5s. I mean, no one can sell PS5s at the moment. Awkward. But Microsoft don't have that raft of console exclusives. So this, in theory, could be that. I mean, I'm not convinced. I mean, I can see it happening, and I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana Jones was console exclusive. I'll use the word console exclusive because I see people going Xbox exclusive. This could be Xbox exclusive, and then you fall down the fanboy well of, yeah, it's not Xbox exclusive though, is it? Because it's on PC or Game. But it's like, oh fuck's sake, that's not the point. You're just being a willy for the sake of being a willy. It's a console exclusive potentially, and I could see that. I don't think it will be. I think Lucasfilm would be looking whole of market if they have an Indiana Jones film coming. Like they had with Star Wars Battlefront 2, that came out alongside it. They realised, have the film, get people hyped. Have the game, get people hyped. Have them hype each other, and it's a super increase in circle jerk that makes you churn much more money. So I wouldn't be surprised. I think it would be more likely for this game from Bethesda to be one that comes out to whole of market, and then Bethesda's own titles, not using external IPs. I think they would be more likely to be the ones that are console specific. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't, but I imagine this would be whole of market. Anyway, let's jump back into the chat. Let's see, there's a lot of people talking. I'll never forget when the guy in Starbucks Cologne thought Asim Tanvir was called Steve. Asim says random. Hilarious that. Tino, good morning, dude, says, did someone say United are top of the league? Maybe. Still think City are the ones to watch back to their best, says Asim. Yeah, which is a shame. Anyway, morning, Vern. Good morning. Morning, Gagan. How's things, dude? How's Cyberpunk treating you? Have you got far into it? Chappers says, when are the Master of the League streams coming back? Since you mentioned it first. Good question. I don't know. Are we doing it today?
Choice is yours. I need to charge my earphones, actually, if we do.
Maybe today. we will see.
If not today, absolutely on
Friday.
Yeah.
My initial concerns were about works inside my house being interfering, but there is no works happening today because we had the roof plastered and that needs to dry. So in theory, I could do today, but we'll keep you posted after this.
I've just started a poll, by the way.
Do you think Indie will be Xbox exclusive? Yes, no, or PC and Xbox? Feel free to put your comments in the chat. Gary says, I'm so excited for this. I'm not usually a Bethesda gamer, but Indiana Jones, hell yeah. It's not coming for years, though. My prediction would be 2024. See, I think you could be there. Maybe 2023, summer to late end. I mean, it could in theory come earlier. The only thing I would say, Mr. Robo Daniel, thank you very much for the host as well, dude. Much appreciated. The only thing I would say there is we don't know anything about this game because this could be an absolute clusterfuck. I know that machine games obviously are FPS, so they can make an exceptional shooter game. So you've got to feel that this has some FPS element. Maybe it's not an Indiana Jones FPS. Maybe it's over-the-shouldery kind of jobby, and third-person game over-the-shouldery kind of jobby. I couldn't figure out what the fucking words were. Third person, maybe it is a third-person sort of game as opposed to just a shooter game. We have seen games make that transition in the past. Developers make that transition in the past successfully, but this could be anything. It could be a short 3-hour storybookish kind of thing. It could be something much larger. I mean, I imagine bigger. I imagine they're going for bombastic. If they're teasing it early, long before they have anything to hype, I can't imagine them then following up with a mobile card game. Not that it's going to be mobile because Bethesda, but you know what I'm saying. So I imagine this will be something bigger. So I think, yeah, giving it a couple of years away is probably a good assumption. 2024, I wouldn't disagree with that. I would like to see it come sooner because I hate, and we've seen it previously with Cyberpunk, I hate games that hype forever, and by the end of it, I mean, I'm not even classing the Cyberpunk launch because that's a separate issue, but by the end of the Cyberpunk hype train, I was overhyped. I know that was plagued by delays. It was like 7, 8, 9 months longer than it should have been.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, I was like, for fuck's sake, I don't want another Night City Wire. I'm not going to watch another one. I've seen these things. I get the idea. I just want to play the game. So, yeah, if it's too far away... But, yeah, anyway, that's a different tangent. I'm still hyped for it, and I do want to see more. Hopefully it ignores Crystal...
Checked out of my own interest that Oblivion did come out on the PlayStation as well, so there is a little bit of farm there. Just saying. I thought for my own sanity, I'll check that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I want to fact check.
Where do we say? Robo Daniel, there we go. Hopefully it ignores Crystal Skull completely. I don't know what that is. It sounds like something that may have existed, but probably didn't. Thank you. Asim says, excited for this, given Machine Games are developing it. The new Wolfenstein games are ace, both story and gameplay-wise, so definitely has my interest. The original 3 Indiana Jones movies are incredible, says Gary. I reckon it won't be exclusive, as Disney and Lucasfilm will surely want the most exposure across all platforms. Maybe I'm wrong. See, I instantly think that. I agree with that. When I say I won't be surprised if it's not, though, I know people keep giving precedence of Spider-Man being exclusive on Sony. I know Sony own the movie rights, not the game rights, but there is relationships and things in there. I can see that. The thing that makes me think, oh, maybe not, is that Microsoft have spent $7.5 billion on acquiring Bethesda. They clearly want this to work for them and that brand. So taking something that's a huge IP. I mean, is Indiana Jones owned by Disney? I know they bought Star Wars and the Avengers. Did they buy Lucasfilm and their properties? Is that the case? I don't actually know. I mean, I'll assume it is for the argument. Feel free to correct as we go. But well, I mean, Gary did put Disney Lucasfilm, so I imagine it probably is the case. Yeah, I imagine they will want as much money as they can get from it. But if Microsoft's saying, okay, we'll give you $1 billion for exclusive console rights, maybe not $1 billion, but a shitload of money for the exclusive console rights, I could see that being... I mean, they put a lot of money into Mixer and it flopped, but they didn't do it right. I can see this being something that they need to work in that sort of sense. The last big venture didn't turn out very well. This is their next big venture of that kind of ilk. They kind of need this to work. If not, they become one of those firms that just has loads of flops. So, yeah, potentially. Morning, chaps. Good morning, Plumrica. How are we doing? Daniel says, Machine Games is the only reason I'm interested in this. Had it been any other developer, I wouldn't have even read the news about it. Madge says, as long as it just works. There's a real gamer. You can go older than Uncharted.
Who do we think out there could have made? Sorry, go on.
No, I was just reading the chat. Go on, continue.
If there was if anyone had the decision on who they wanted to make an Indiana Jones game, again, I have no interest in this really because I've got no affinity with the IP itself. But if someone could have chosen a video game studio to be able to make this game, who would they have chose? Because my top one would have been Bethesda. Despite all of the things that have gone wrong with quite a lot of the games recently, I still think at the heart of hearts, Bethesda is definitely the I think they would capture the grittiness of what Indiana Jones is perfectly. So it would have always been the first choice. But if they think that when you think of an Indiana Jones game and how you would have seen it, what developer would you think
Naughty Dog
captured the essence?
I mean, Naughty Dog.
Naughty Dog would have been again the obvious choice, but then it would have been a PlayStation exclusive.
Yeah, I mean, the thing for me is I think Machine Games could be the one because we've seen Naughty Dog that had never made an Indiana Jones style game before, and now that's their bread and butter. They changed and evolved to be a brand that makes absolutely incredible games in that genre. There was a conversation I saw on Twitter around Guerrilla Games. Guerrilla made, what was the shooter alien game? not Warzone, Killzone. Was it Killzone? Killzone.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
So they made Killzone and then made Horizon Zero Dawn, which was hugely critically acclaimed and enjoyed by a lot of people. They've got another one coming, Forbidden West, for PS5, PS4. So they made that transition from shooter games to third-person over-the-shoulder big games. So it could be done. So I agree with your shout at Bethesda. I'm not sure who I'd give it to, but I think if you give it to someone that just put it in the right hands. I know that's such a shit sentence, but I'm answering your question by not answering your question. I think if you get people that have the desire and the ability and the creativity, it doesn't necessarily need to be huge, but you can put it in a smallish but creative team that is held that has their hand held by a much bigger brand. And Bethesda and Machine Games is perfect for that. In that essence, we have precedent of that happening very, very successfully before, so it could turn out to be exceptional. David says you can go older than Uncharted. There's Pitfall for the Atari, which came out around the same time as the first movie, and I wonder if they will try to get Ford in to do the voice. I mean, yeah, Pitfall back in the day, just get your pixels to swing on a vine across a hole in the floor. Nice. That's the entire game. I mean, do we think it would be Indiana Jones Harrison Ford, or do we think it would be Indiana Jones a younger one? I mean, like, excuse me, we've seen Tom Holland as young Nathan Drake. Will we get young Indiana Jones? I think that's possibly more likely for me, because Indiana Jones is going to have, stereotyping, that old man voice. Is not going to be young in this, so I think they probably will maybe get someone. I don't know. Maybe even have him as a guest in certain bits or so on. But yes, Daniel says IP negotiations would take longer than that alone. So the 3 months-ish since it was announced, then IP negotiations would take longer than that alone, which then would hint and tie into our theories that we've had in the chat already, that this would be a multi-platform game and not Xbox's exclusive platform version of Nathan Drake, not the Xbox Nathan Drake. And it's not even the Xbox Nathan Drake. That would make, because if they create their own game, it would be the Xbox Nathan Drake. But does that mean that Nathan Drake is now the PlayStation Indiana Jones? Because he was the original one. It has been said publicly that Xbox aren't interested in exclusives, but that doesn't mean timed exclusives won't be a thing. If it can run on PS5 and Series X, it can run on mid-spec PC. Also, if we look at the new releases from Xbox-owned studios, they are for the majority both PC and Xbox releases. I can see it being timed exclusive on Xbox PC. I can see that one being more likely than the major exclusive for sure. PS5 later to boost/supplement sales in another period makes financial sense. Absolutely. Agreed. Cyberpunk has taken a backseat for the moment, not had enough time to dedicate to it. But it's fine, it's your game. You can do what you want. Disney bought Lucasfilm. Okay, there you go. Insomniac Games, says Gary. Good shout. I mean, they've done pretty well with Spider-Man, so yeah, they might be okay. The Greedfall peeps. Who makes Greedfall?
Is that Match Said Spiders? Never even heard of them, to be fair. Well, let's check. Spiders, developer Spiders. What else have they done?
No idea. No idea. There you go. Spiders, the Greedfall peeps. There you go. Another one would be Hangar 13. Nah, you don't want Hangar 13. I mean, Hangar 13 have done a remaster of an old franchise recently, and it was exceptionally bad. Like, really, really bad. Is Asim still in the chat? Is Asim still here? Yeah, really bad. Yeah. Really bad. No, I'm joking. They did Mafia, and did that very well. So, yeah, good shout. Nice to see Bethesda with their fingers on the pulse with trends. I can't wait for the Goonies game. Shots fired. Yeah,
I wonder what kind of game it's going to be, though. Do you reckon it's going to be like an adventure game? Because I can imagine, and again, this is with so left field, but someone like from Software, who do Dark Souls, a game like that. Maybe not as difficult, obviously, because we're not fucking idiots, but something that, from Software, that's dark and gritty. Is it going to be one where like Uncharted, where you're going to be jumping from stuff to like from cliff to cliff, and then doing wall running and shit like that, or is it going to be not, I don't want to say tactical, but I mean, like Dark Souls is very, very deep and gritty and dark and atmospheric. That sounds Indiana Jonesy to me. I don't mean the combat system or anything like that, because I think that would just be too far fetched for an Indiana Jones thing. But that's why I think Bethesda are probably up there, because I think Bethesda games naturally are that quite dark and gritty, and that's where I can see this game kind of fitting in, because I think if you used to put Indiana Jones on Uncharted, it is just an Indiana Jones game, isn't it? It's bright, it's bubbly, it's what you'd absolutely expect. But are we going to see something a bit more left field, a bit darker? Do you know what I mean? Like, we've seen this from, I don't know how I'm coming to this conclusion, but we've seen this from Disney films over the last couple of years, where we've started to see the dark side of Disney when it comes to like Maleficent, and like the live action Jungle Books and stuff like that, where it is a little bit darker. It's not as bright and bubbly and colourful and nicey. We're starting to see like the darker side of things. Are we going to get like a darker side of stuff, or would it be too far away from what people would come to expect?
Yeah, I think it would be. I think there would be elements of gritty realism, but Indiana Jones also is. I think I don't see it going past, and it's for many reasons. Jedi Fallen Order. That was dark-ish in terms of it wasn't just bright light. Lightsabers and sword fights. It was deep and it was emotive and so on like that. And it was a Lucasfilm game. So I imagine we will see the same sort of thing. That's what I would go for. That said, Gary does say it would be hilarious if it was a Tetris clone. And it absolutely could be. At this point in time, we don't know. I mean, there's expectation management and then there's failing expectation management. If this is not on the level of Tomb Raider and Uncharted or anything like that, Bethesda have just done the ultimate failing in terms of managing expectations, because they will not live that down. So, yeah, there we go. Anyway, just completely non-advertising, by the way. I'm just going to crack open my energy drink, which is a muscle moose juice, extreme energy tropical flavour. Oh, yeah.
Available in 4 flavours.
Yeah. Actually, not Spong. They have provided free. Muscle Moose did give us some drinks, so we'll clarify that, but not Spawn. Actually, it's pretty nice. There you go.
Hashtag gifted.
Yeah, boy. We already have Tomb Raider, and that to me is Indiana Jones in spirit. But that's
agreed. That's why I think they need to do something different, because they can't just be looking at what's already out there and going, let's just put Indiana Jones in that. That's what makes me think that they need to do something else instead.
The thing is, though, they did it first, so that's what Indiana Jones is known for. And you have an active audience of fans of Indiana Jones films for all 3 of the films for 20, 30 years-ish now. Was it? I can't remember when the first one came out. 79 or something like that? It was older than I remember. So fucking long, all the years. So yeah, they've got fans of the film that have been fans of the film for 40-odd years. And if they change that now to be something different, I know films can change. James Bond changed from being like super suave James Bond to Daniel James' 007, who's real and has emotion, and we can see him crying and he's a bit rough around the edges and makes mistakes and so on. So James Bond changed and matured. I don't think there'd be anything wrong with that, but I don't think they'll stray too far. And I think there's enough space for another Lara Croft or another Nathan Drake, because Tomb Raider did. I think the direction that Tomb Raider went in the Square games. I haven't played the third one. I played the second one, and just the direction from the first one going into the second one was not. It was a bit kind of, yeah. It's not. How can I? It's not what I want from that game. It's very different to what you would see in Uncharted, and I feel there's definitely some differences that can be pushed in with Indiana Jones. I mean, Indiana Jones has got the films have got aliens, have got mythical, biblical functions, Nazis, and all sorts of different things. There's a lot of different ways that they could take that story. So yes, we do have it, but doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad thing. I know too much of a good thing can be bad, but might not be too much. So yeah, don't think
Well, the best Indiana Jones game we've ever had, and it's a game that I never played, but it would have been the Lego ones because all the rest of them have been a fucking disaster. I seen Pitfall. I seen your brother say Pitfall, and I remember that game. I wasn't even alive when the game came out, but I remember how fucking disaster that game was.
It was good back in the day in the Atari. It was like a huge success. Pretty much everyone I knew had it. It wasn't my console. I was too young. It was like my whose was it? Was it Nana's, David? If you're still here, was it cousins? I can't remember. Whoever's it was. Well, or was it my uncle's? I don't know. Anyway, everyone else had it and knew what it was. And I think they even did a remake, like maybe 20 years ago, like a 3D-ish non-Atari remake of Pitfall, which that one was an absolute travesty.
Yeah.
Do you want to point out that Asim's mentioned
that Atari one?
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, Asim's mentioned Hangar 13 with a winky face. I'm assuming he may have not been here to hear my loving comments. I was being a dick.
Yeah, that Pitfall one. I'm sure that's the one because I played it. Like it came out way before I was born, so I only got to play it after the controls for games would have been fucking way more advanced, so it would be shit to someone like me, and I play a lot of shit games. But I'm fairly certain that's the one where you couldn't really get to the edge of a platform because you'd run and it'd skip like 2 frames kind of thing, so you couldn't just stop on a dime. So when you tried to jump over stuff, you'd have to make sure that you timed the walking to a degree so that you could jump over, and it was just fucking I couldn't get my head around it, and I play a lot of shit games, so yeah.
Yeah, there was. I mean, just
there for you.
I've just googled. There was obviously the classic Pitfall, Atari 2600 from 1982, developed by Activision, and then you've got what looks like a series of mobile games, a running game, Pitfall, which just looks like a temple run sort of thing. Pitfall Mayan Adventure, Pitfall The Lost Expedition. So there's been a shitload of Pitfalls.
Yeah.
Just because there's been a lot, though, doesn't mean that they're good. There you go. So hopefully we don't get just a churn. Hopefully it is something good. Anyway, let's move on, but not too far, as we are sticking with Lucasfilm games, or at least I think we are. Is this Lucasfilm games? I don't know now. But we did talk about this at length yesterday in our discussion about the new Lucasfilm games brand. But Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order now gets next gen performance update with frame rate and resolution improvements. This is written by Emma Kent at Eurogamer and says, if you felt a great disturbance in the Force, you might be onto something, as an update for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has started rolling out, and it's all about optimizing the game for next-gen consoles. As explained in EA's blog post, the update promises improved frame rates on Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5, with frame rates now targeting 60 FPS on all next-gen consoles, up from 45 FPS on the Series S and PlayStation 5 prior to the update. Xbox Series X now features a performance mode with 60 FPS and dynamic resolution in the range of 1080p to 1440p, while its normal non-performance mode should achieve a post-processing resolution of 4K and a dynamic resolution between 1512p and 2160p. PlayStation 5's post-processing has now been increased to 1440p, but dynamic resolution has been disabled and the game is rendering at 1200p, up from 810 to 1080p. You can find the list of all the changes here, and then the link through there. If you were thinking of taking Fallen Order for a spin and have Xbox Game Pass, now's a particularly good to try it out, as Microsoft wrapped EA Play into the subscription back in November. So, if you want to play Jedi Fallen Order, do it now, because it's next-gen upgraded stuff. Are you going to play that, babe?
I might get around to it, Graham, yeah. I've only had it for 13 months, but yeah, I will at some point. I mean, I'm invested in Assassin's Creed now, Graham. Do you know what I mean?
Until you get to a point.
I'm really enjoying it.
Until you get to a point that you can't get past, and then you'll turn it off and ignore it forever.
Listen, right, Days Gone is dead to me now. I can't fucking do it. It's impossible. It's genuinely impossible. It seems like the way to be able to play that game. I'm stuck at the sawmill for anyone who's got to that point, and I'm not sure how far away from the end that I am, but I feel like I could taste the ending, and I can't do it. It's just too hard. I've tried like 70, 80 times. It's a pain in the fucking ass.
We do have words of support for you, though, because Asim says, I've done it, baby, just FYI.
Right, I'll like get him to sync into my PlayStation so he can do it for me then. Because it feels like I've got to a point where I just want to fucking throw my PlayStation out the window. I just can't do it. But yeah, that's my life on Days Gone at the moment in time, which is a phenomenal game. I've thoroughly enjoyed my experience with Days Gone. It got to a point where all I wanted to do was play Days Gone, but I just can't do it. It's too hard. I don't usually give up on games, but it's just too hard, Graham.
Well, you can now start and give up on Star Wars. There's another one to add to your list with next gen performances. Asim says, downloaded this on the Series X. Thank you, Game Pass, to try out the update. Finished it on PS4 Pro when it released. Performance was quite shoddy. Yeah, I saw that. I mean, see, I played it because I didn't get it until Christmas, so they'd had like I think 2 or 3 patches by that point. So I played it after Christmas, pretty much this time last year, I think, is when I played it, and it was pretty solid there. There was a couple of performance glitches, a couple of bugs, and when you're doing the camera panning round things, you could see inside people's skulls and stuff when you're panning, so you could see just like the eyes and the teeth, and so there was that sort of stuff, which, yeah. But I genuinely loved the game. Parts of it were a bit slow. Some bits of it going back to the same planets and stuff were a little tedious. There wasn't really that much depth in terms of worlds. But yeah, I really enjoyed the game, especially the further into it you get. Watching that Lucasfilm Games bit trailer, the sizzle trailer that came out yesterday, or that we covered yesterday, there's a bit in that where there's an AT-AT in the game, or an AT-AT, depending on how you pronounce it, and you have to kind of climb up it and so on. That was a hugely cinematic bit for me. That was one of my favourite bits in the game. There were other bits, but I won't...
playing it on 4K TV downstairs?
I was, yes. Headset on, 4K TV, and it was badass. Star Wars nails a lot of things, but one thing that Star Wars really does nail is audio. If you get the full Skywalker sound experience, if you're sat there, headset on, big TV, and you've got full stuff going on, it's amazing, which is why I like Battlefront, the first one, so much, because you got a lot of authentic noise. The second one was a bit too chaotic and a bit just all the same stuff, but a bit repetitive, and it kind of watered down the Star Wars audio. But in that bit, cinematically with all the audio, it was badass. So it's definitely worth playing, especially if you're getting it in better frame rates or higher resolutions now. Obviously, it plays Xbox Series X features a performance mode, 60 FPS with a dynamic resolution range of 1080p to 1440p. So 60 FPS, potentially 1440p. While the non-performance mode hits 4K and a dynamic resolution between 1512 and 2160. So yeah, it'll look shit hot. PS5 not quite as good. Its post-processing is now 1440p as opposed to 4K on the Xbox, but dynamic resolution has been disabled, and the game is rendering at 1200p, up from 1810 to 20p. Still better than it was. Xbox Series X is performing better there. This actually kind of ties into the Indiana Jonesy stuff for me. What do we think? Is that purely a hardware thing? So the Xbox One X had better hardware than the PS4. Is it purely that they had that, and then you go to the Xbox Series X, which has better hardware in obviously not across the board, just talking generally, than the PS5. So does it perform better because the hardware is better, and that's it, or the Xbox? Not the Xbox. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was almost an Xbox exclusive launch game. That's what you would have felt of, because all of the Twitch pre-rolls, YouTube, everywhere, Xbox stickers, all of the bus stops and bus side panels, Xbox. Xbox put a huge amount of money into marketing Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order as a game on their platforms. Is this as a result of that? Is it better on Xbox because of the marketing? And does that grease the wheels for the Lucasfilm Games and the ZeniMax Media and stuff? I mean, all conspiracy theories, but thoughts.
Yes, all speculation. High speculation.
A big high five. It's hard though. It took me a while. Says Asim, easy tiger. It's not that kind of stream. Oof. Honestly.
Yet.
So many days have gone trying to get past that part of the game, says Gary. Hey. Someone want to time him out? Just give him a time out. It's fine. Bubba Mike United says, thank you. Thanks for the follow on Twitter. No worries. I've not actually seen any of your content yet. I did see you went live yesterday or the day before. Can't remember when it was. But I did see someone saying that you were a PES content creator, and we do PES content, so I thought I would drop in. So yeah, dropped your followers so I can see the stuff on your next live. But thank you very much for the return. Did you? Yesterday you followed back, so thank you very much, dude. Appreciate it. We don't necessarily follow to get follow backs, but we appreciate the fact that you did.
Name like that, it wouldn't have been me that would have been following you.
Yeah, Bibby's a big United fan, massive. Yeah, absolutely.
As is the Man United football shirts above my head.
It's down to the PS5 backwards compat side of things being a bit complicated, says Asim. There you go. Just a better console, Kappa, says Tito. Whoa, his name's in green, or it is for me. I don't know if it is for you guys. And he's saying things like that. Yeah. Whoa. Start right. Anyway, let's move forward. So we've spoken about Xbox and a little bit about PlayStation. Let's jump onto the red side of the console wars. As Alex Calvin from VG247 says, Nintendo are rolling out a red and a blue Switch for Super Mario 3D World. This is the first time that the console has launched in a different colour. There's a special red and blue edition of the Nintendo Switch on the way. The Japanese games giant is releasing this version of its console alongside the upcoming Super Mario 3D World and Bowser's Fury that's set to launch on February 12th, and Nintendo gave us another look at the release yesterday obviously. This special edition of the Nintendo Switch comes with red Joy-Con controllers, each of which are accompanied with blue straps as well as blue grips for the Joy-Cons. The console and dock itself are both red, and this is the first time that the Nintendo Switch is available in a colour other than that grey/black tone it has. Players can also snap up a Mario red and blue carry case as well as a screen protector, and we're not sure how a screen protector could be red and blue, but we'll leave that to the nerds at Nintendo. No doubt this will become yet another highly sought after piece of special Nintendo hardware, following the footsteps of that limited edition Animal Crossing Switch, which keeps periodically appearing for sale at various places. A nice tangent. It's actually not a tracking link. Nice. I was going to say a nice tangent to get a tracking link in there, but it wasn't. So GG's. So, did you see the Super Mario 3D World trailer?
I did.
I haven't.
It's magic.
Is it?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna load up this. I'm gonna see how long it is. Okay. Do you know what? I'm gonna leave this. I was gonna play this on stream, but I will leave this because 2 minutes, no audio. I don't want to play it. You can all watch it in your own time. I will drop the link to the article in the chat just in case you do want to watch the trailer and see the article. Whoosh, there you go. So there you go.
I watched the trailer. As I said yesterday, I was looking forward to seeing what this had to bring to the table, because I am kind of in the market now, I think, for a new platform, and especially if I can get one on my Switch. And then Vern popped up in my DMs giving me a load of shit for not playing Odyssey. So that is probably something that I will be looking at getting. But this looks brilliant. Bowser's Fury at the end looked amazing. So if you haven't seen the trailer, please do go and watch it. If you are a Mario fan or just in the market like I am for a new platformer, that looks like a lot of fun. One thing that I don't get, though, and it's something that we actually covered a couple of months ago, is that it was Mario's 35th anniversary. Was it last year or is it this year? But it must have been last year, because I don't understand why they bring this out now. This should have been brought out last year for the 35th anniversary. Like, do something big, but they didn't. They just brought out a game that said that you can't get it after March this year. The game just disappears. Like, you can't get it again unless you bought it physically, or you've already got it downloaded. You can't buy it again after March this year.
Just trying to update, discussing now. Yeah, the anniversary of video games, they tend to do it like, is it not? It's either they pick a day, or they pick a month, or they go for the full year, or they can do it tax year. I seem to remember this being basically tax year. I don't know. Is that right?
Yeah.
March 2020 or March 2021. Well, it's kind of tax year. There you go. It ends in March. Mario 3D World is amazing, says Gary Clark. This is Nintendo trying to squeeze more Switch sales before the Pro version is announced and then comes out. Smart. Yeah, I mean, we have a new lockdown. We have a console that is a collectible item. Yeah, definitely very smart. They will churn the numbers. They will keep churning the numbers, though. I'm interested to see where the Switch eventually ends up because it's selling very, very well. Do we think it can get to the PS2 level?
No, I don't.
I mean, what are we?
I don't think it'll even get through to the original the Game Boy. Has it exceeded the original Game Boy? Best selling Nintendo console.
The PS2 is
I don't know if it's
155. The DS family got 154 million. Game Boy got 100.
Yeah, I don't think it'll get close to that. Yeah, but the Game Boy one's stupid.
Yeah.
Because as is Nintendo, the bunching the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color up together, that's not fair. They shouldn't have been doing that. But the Switch is just behind. I mean, again, I'm getting a source from Wikipedia here, and we all know Wikipedia is the main source of information in the world.
Fake news.
So the Switch is just behind the 3DS family, which again they bundled all the 3DSs together, which I imagine includes the XL and the original 3DS. So 3DS 75 mil. Nintendo Switch 68 million. I don't think it'll even come close to the Nintendo the Nintendo DS. Don't think it will come close, but who knows? I mean, this is going from I don't know what expectation Nintendo had for this console with it being a hybrid because it was the first of its kind, and I absolutely love my Nintendo Switch. At the moment, I pretty much just play it exclusively for PGA. So if I'm sat downstairs and I want to get my golf fix, I can play it doing that. And then I've obviously got Skyrim for it. But I don't know where it's... I think they need to bring a revision out for it, and one that just doesn't include a bigger battery. I think for it to try and compete. But do they even want to compete? Are they asked? Nintendo have never, ever been asked about competing with any other console, so why would they even need to?
I think they're not competing. I think they're doing it for their own benefit. It's that sort of like putting on a pretty dress. Are you putting on a pretty dress to impress people? No, I'm putting on a pretty dress because I want to feel wonderful for myself. Same with the snazzy suit. Is that it? No, I just feel like I want to wear something that makes me feel good, that makes me look good. So I think the 4K and better battery and stuff and proing a Switch is purely for the people that are in that ecosystem to enjoy that a bit better rather than trying to compete. I think if they do try to compete, they suddenly stop being the big fish in a one-fish pond, basically. It's not. It's a little pond because you've got your RG350s and stuff, which are handhelds and so on. But they are the biggest fish in the pond. If they start trying to compete, they suddenly step into, pardon me, a smaller pond, but that has 2-3 fucking massive fish, and Stadia just sat on the edge at the side kind of thing. Stadia's flopping around on the band. It's not even in the pond. It's like, how do I get back in the pond?
Of one thing, it's the right Joy-Con. The right Joy-Con pisses me off because it's the analog sticks are offset, and that's the biggest disappointment for me. And that the Wii U pad was, I thought it was brilliant, a brilliant piece of tech. The analogs were perfect. Everything was perfect. I don't understand why they've offset. In fact, I do understand why they've had the offset analog stick. It's so that you can give it to somebody else and play two-player like we did at Gamescom when we was playing FIFA on it. That's perfect.
So it can switch.
But fucking trying to play a first-person shooter game or Skyrim, something like that with the offset, it's just very uncomfortable in your hand. And I wish you could buy a second Joy-Con that was the other way around, so that I'm the only person that uses my Switch in my house. Samantha doesn't use it for anything. So why would I want to potentially snap that bit off to give to her? Do you know what I mean? I can have a charged one whenever someone else wants to play, but just having a second Joy-Con that the analog sticks at the top would make your hand cramp less, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. Robert Daniel did say what I was about to say. You can tell you're a PlayStation player, baby, with the offset sort of stuff.
It's just comfort with the Switch. No one can play the Switch for hours and hours and hours without their hands.
Yeah,
especially when I've got hands like mine.
Looking to see if mine was in here. I've only got little hands, but even for me, the Switch controllers are just like, the Joy-Cons. It's the idea is of the Switch. Obviously, a lot of people don't even know that the name of the Switch is because it can switch functions. You can go from being a handheld to an in-house thing to having a local console playing with others. Yeah, wow, wonderful. But that switchingness means that it becomes a bit more jack of all trades and master of none, and that is ergonomics the right word? Ergonomically, or anthropometrically, which one's the right one for how the console sits. Whichever one it is, it doesn't sit as well in the hand like traditional console controllers are, which is where you get the use of pro controllers and stuff.
I love this controller. I love the Xbox controller. I love the offsetness. I was an Xbox 360 player, and my hands are well in tune to play a controller like this. But the Switch one does my fucking nutting. That is so far offset because it's such a small console. The analog sticks are tiny. I agree. I need to get a grip. I had to get a grip for my PS Vita because that had a similar problem where my hands would just be cramped constantly. I mean, that was so much smaller than the Switch. That would do my head in after a while, and my hands would cramp, and I couldn't play it. It was just doing my nutting. But I do need to get a proper because I've got. Is it? Yeah, no, I think it's downstairs actually. I've got a case. I've got a rubber case that the thingy goes into, but it's still not comfortable. I need one that looks like a controller. I think. I mean, Amazon are selling them here for £17, so that could be the next shout. But yeah, it's. If you can't swap the analog sticks
that clips the screen onto the end of it, like I've got that I can't use for a PS5. Fuck's sake. Yeah, basically, I bought something to clip my my iPhone onto the top of my PlayStation 5 controller. That's obviously a scuffed PS4 that's plugged in and charging, but it's basically one of those things that sits like that. Yeah, nice, wonderful, woo, woo, woo. So you can play remote player on your PlayStation. Say if my PlayStation was downstairs and I'm upstairs and I just want to log on and do something. Job's a good one. However, the remote play app doesn't work with iPhones and connected to the DS5 or the dual sensors just yet. So I can connect with a PS4 controller. Wonderful. My pad clip only works on PS5 pads, so it clips to a pad that doesn't work on my phone. Yeah, great, nice. I mean, it may have been fixed by now. It's been a few weeks since I've touched it, but yeah, there you go. Let me jump back through the chat, catch up. I still think City will win the league, says Bub Mank. Yeah, I wonder if Fallen Order has the Wilhelm screen in it like all the other Star Wars stuff. Which one's is that the like the, or is it the Are Real Monsters one? I can't remember. Anyway, Wilhelm scream, famous scream, always used in films. I still don't know if I like the Mario Switch. It looks a bit too much. If I pulled that out on the train, people would be expecting me to pull out a Fisher Price telephone.
Same reason why I didn't get the neon. The neon Nintendo Switch.
Did we get the neon in the end? Maybe we did. We might have a neon. I can't remember. I didn't want it. Maybe we got it out of necessity. We got the Switch for Christmas for a couple of reasons. One, because it would be a nice family gift. Chloe could play it. Me and Daniel could play it occasionally. And I could play it travelling to Argentina for a PES event. So I may have ended up getting the neon one. But yeah, that red and blue, it looks like, the Fisher Price, the phone that's in Toy Story 3, the one that drives around and talks to people through the headset. That's what it is. I agree. I'm so past giving a damn what others think of me. I have the Diablo 3 edition Switch. I'm going to have to Google this because I don't know what that one looks like. Diablo 3 Switch. Let's have a look. Oh, see, that looks good, though. The Diablo 3 Switch, you can get away with that because that's just super sleek minimal. There we go. If this is what we're talking about, this one here, is that the one? Is that what we're saying? I'm assuming so. I will assume so until told otherwise. So yeah, that's fine. You can pull that out on a train and you'll be okay. Mario 3D World is amazing, says Gary Clark. I haven't seen the trailer. I will have to go back and watch it. I've not seen it yet. Asim says, "Oh no, I've read that bit." Oh no, there we go. In response to trying to squeeze more Switch sales, Gary says, "Yep, get rid of that backlog of original systems and give them a paint job before the Pro. Easy enough. Just paint the outsides, change the colour, still sell it. Job's a good one." Nintendo do this very, very well. They have a great ability of building desire for the next product while still selling their current product. So iPhones, just been talking about iPhones. You get an iPhone, you know that the next one's coming. It gets announced at the Apple conference, and usually the sales will drop off. That's it. Okay, we'll get the new iPhone. Nintendo have a really good way of activating their communities, their audiences, by limited edition consoles, by giving something that hasn't been done before, like having that multicolor. Hey. Okay, but pretend it's not. Everyone, look away! Don't say anything. So yeah, but Nintendo have a really good way of activating their communities to sell at the end of a product's life cycle. So they will sell that exceptionally well, and then still sell a shitload of pros because it's better. Are there any other companies out there that can do that as effectively as those? Yeah, I don't think they'll directly compete with the PS5, Xbox Series X. Even the Pro version won't. It'll be a Switch that's capable of higher resolutions, up to 4K mainly. Yeah, only docked. But yeah, no, I agree. I have a grip for my Switch. Couldn't play without it. You should buy one of those case grips. Game changer, says Daniel. You know what they say, Graham? Little hands, small gloves. Exactly. Or little hands, floppy fingers, because the gloves are too big. That's the one. Look at the back too. Can we see if we can find a picture of the back of the console? Diablo Switch console. Is this what we're saying? This here? See, that's cool and minimal. That's just like, that's nice. I would take that, definitely. I mean, if I had to choose between this and this, so for those of you listening, we have the Diablo Switch console, which is grey, dark grey, and has kind of like a light, almost silvery, is that right? Colour scheme to it. And then in comparison, we have the Nintendo Switch, which has a fluorescent blue and bright red, Mario-esque sort of colour scheme for the neon controllers. Not for me. This for me. That not for me. I have the Mario Odyssey Switch. I have the Mario Odyssey Switch with the red Joy-Con, subtle but still cool looking. It's okay. It reminds me a bit of a bad tribal tattoo, like Knights have returned. That's it. You've got a tramp stamped console. There you go. That's what we're saying. Not sure if we have Bibby's audio though. Bibby, say Bibby's. Yeah, we have no audio for Bib. I could just see him.
It could have been muted myself.
There we go.
What a fucking idiot!
I could just see him laughing and then just not making noise. I was like, Bibby's sacrificed his laugh. What the fuck? No.
What an idiot.
So yeah, feel free to go out and help yourself to a tramp stamped console. That's very nice. I do like the idea of a tramp stamped console. It does look good though. It does look good. Anyway, one final thing. Let's move forward. We are running out of time now. So we have from one console to another. We spoke a little bit about Xbox. We briefly mentioned PlayStation, then we went on to Switch. So let's go back to PlayStation. And this is revisiting a story that we started last week and then we thought we'd wrapped up at the start of this week. But it turns out there is another step in the story. I won't give you any context. It's probably going to be drafted in the article. If not, we'll pick it apart afterwards. But this one is from Andy Robinson at VGC, and it says, the Black PS5 firm calls scam accusations hurtful and unfair after disastrous launch. Super 5 accuses YouTubers of pushing scam narrative. Company may try again with sales. I just want to point out it's not just YouTubers, it's Twitch streamers as well, because I said it may have been a scam. I did say we don't know enough. I said we will find out over the next few days. The fact that they've gone completely could, in theory, be that this is a company that didn't expect so much attention and was looking to be a bit dodge, but could have just bitten off more than the chew. Anyway, let's see what they actually say in the article. So the company behind last week's disastrous Black PlayStation 5 pre-sale has called accusations that the launch was all a scam hurtful, confusing, and unfair. Super 5 also accused content creators who publish videos claiming to have proof of its scam of attracting viewers through clickbait tactics. Startup company Super 5 made around 300 of the PS5 consoles, which feature a custom design based on the PlayStation 2, available to pre-order to North American residents on Friday, priced at $649, which is $200 more than the regular PlayStation 5 RRP. After a short marketing campaign, the consoles had generated a great deal of interest and media coverage, with many consumers greatly anticipating Friday's pre-order sales. However, the launch ultimately ended in disaster when Super 5's website struggled to cope with demand and took many customers' payments without them securing a console. Later, its website wouldn't allow customers to delete their credit card data. The company issued a statement promising refunds and saying it was embarrassed with how the launch went, but just hours later it cancelled all successful orders and permanently deleted its Twitter account due to its team allegedly receiving credible threats to their safety. Many consumers had already expressed suspicion over the startup's ability to create custom PS5s, and that feeling was only strengthened after the launch events ended, with many customers temporarily out of pocket and the company responsible deleting its social presence. In a statement, issued by on company. No, I'll start again because I can words. Nice. In a statement issued by the company on Tuesday, Super 5 attempted to address the speculation and explain exactly what happened with the launch. The company claimed the scam narrative had emerged partly due to the fact it was a startup company, but also because of users on Twitter and YouTube actively pushing it to their audience. It acknowledged that Friday's pre-sales had been an incredibly disappointing, frustrating experience for everyone and said it wanted to set the record straight amid a significant amount of speculation online. We've been using the term scan panic to describe the first problem we encountered after we launched our storefront and Twitter account, it said. We think it's perfectly reasonable to be skeptical of an operation that spun up as quickly as we did. However, we began to see people on Twitter and YouTube actively pushing the scam narrative, some even claiming to have proof of this. This was hurtful, confusing, and unfair, given that we hadn't even sold anything at that point and thus had no reputation to prove or disprove it. It added, nobody had any proof of anything, really, only that we're new. We began to respond to these accusations as best we could, explaining that we are new, we have no reputation, and if anyone feels uncomfortable trusting us with their hard-earned cash because of that, please do not buy anything from us. Super 5 said its view was that many videos accusing it of scamming customers carried a healthy amount of skepticism and annoyance about us existing, but accused many of them of bending the truth in order to attract viewers. Our best guess is that creators of these videos took this approach to attract viewers through a clickbait title at our expense, it said. We understand that views matter for monetization. It's hard to fault someone for jumping on a good opportunity to drive more views their way. We hope it worked. We hope that in future they exercise much greater consideration for others before throwing out unfair accusations. Just going to stop for a second. You hope YouTube changes? On the payment issues, the company claimed that it's now refunded 98% of all orders made for the Black PS5 consoles and accessories, with the remaining 2% to be completed sometime this week. It confessed that it had expected some payment problems due to strong demand for its custom consoles, but it also defended its security, stating that its processors were Stripe and PayPal, both of which it noted comply with global security standards. We knew that there would probably be some problems with payments given the traffic we were expecting, Super 5 explained. We did not expect there to be payments taken without orders being secured. This was not okay, and as soon as we discovered this was happening, we immediately began working on reversing the erroneous payments. On top of this, our payment processor for standard payments disconnected from our site during pre-orders. Because of this, suddenly everyone lost the ability to delete their cards from their profiles. With the scam narrative already circling around Super 5, Super 5 said the payment issues sparked speculation that it was keeping everyone's credit card numbers to steal them. This isn't true, and we hate that we even have to say it, it said. Also, this concern ignores how payment systems work and the strict standards in place to prevent theft of credit card information. Super 5 went on to reiterate its claim that shortly after the launch issues, its team received credible threats to their safety, which it said it led to it seeing no way forward that this would be worth the risk. Nobody should ever have to deal with psychological distress of receiving credible threats to their safety, it said. Nothing is worth that. We received multiple threats, some of which appeared to be actively trying to locate us to inflict physical harm. This is not what we signed up for, and that's why we decided to cancel orders and refund everyone. The company said that it could yet revive the Black PS5 consoles. At this point, if things calm down and we see a safe way forward, we may try again, it said. If we do it, it will be with a quiet invitation-only approach. Those invitations would go to those who had secured an order previously, stayed within the order limits, and did not list their pre-order on eBay. Long, old article. But Super 5 have hit back saying that they aren't a scam firm, which generally I didn't think they were.
No.
But a lot to unpack in there. What are your thoughts, Bib?
Yeah, I think saying that they're not a scam site is exactly what a scam site would say. I don't believe that there was for a second, especially when using. That's why if you have the option to buy anything online, please don't use your card. Please use PayPal so you're able to try and get your money refunded. If you do, don't use friends and family. Use goods and services. So they have the option to do that. So as soon as you see things like that, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be absolutely fine. If it goes on, you'll get your money back. But I agree with what Robbo says in the chat about it. Don't remove your only line of comms. That makes absolutely no sense. But the whole thing stems from selling something that you don't actually physically have in your possession. I think if they had all of these 300 PlayStations and they'd already modified them, and someone went onto the website, bought them, and they received them within 3 days, especially if you're around the same area where these are being dispatched from, no one would have batted an eyelid. But the fact that you have to wait for however long to be able to get hold of the console, you may even happen to wait a hell of a lot longer than what it would have taken if you potentially get them from Game, Ferry, Currys, PC World, whatever, that you could potentially get one from hopefully sometime soon. That's another little bit of a problem, but you've got to have a thick skin. If you're selling something for 650 quid and it's a hot in demand item, you better be sure that everything should be on point. Otherwise, you're just going to get ripped to shreds, and that's unfortunately what they've done. They've caved. They've refunded people back. That's not a business etiquette. That feels like it could just be a group of people who thought this was a very good idea, maybe something that people want. Clearly they did, because the demand was so much for it, but they just don't have the social media background that you potentially need this day and age. You got to have a thick skin, especially if you're selling something like this.
Yeah. Just to point out as well, because I know it doesn't need saying, because a lot of us in here work in social media. I know a few guys in the chat do. You have to have a thick skin in social media, and it's shit that you do. You should still have support, and you shouldn't have to deal with that stuff. But there is an element that you do need a point where that you are going to get attacked, and so on. Don't get me wrong. You shouldn't have to deal with that. You do have to deal with that. You shouldn't have to deal with that.
Great.
But you should never have to deal with it to the point that these guys have had. If people are physically looking their personal addresses and so on that they were going to come from, that is too far. That said, they didn't deal with that in the right way. And they are quite open and honest in this article, which shows you that they're a new firm, because most established firms will have PR'd the shit out of it and not said anything. But they were open and honest, where I think they were embarrassed with how their launch went. What other company would say they were embarrassed with their performance? None. I like that. That is open. That is honest. That is people. But that peopleness is what has led to their problems. Even I said, when we were talking about it, was it Monday or Friday? I can't remember which one. I think it was Friday. We covered that custom consoles are no more, or something was the title of the video on YouTube and the stream, or something like that. Because they were no more. They were gone. They just disappeared. Customers were left without... some customers had refunds. Some customers were struggling to get refunds. All of their social media was gone. Even at that point, I didn't believe that they were a malicious firm. But I said, even without knowing that YouTubers had started to clickbait the shit out of this, I said that is suspicious. It is. It's not hurtful and unfair to have suspicion. People are suspicious. People don't have all the money in the world right now. People want extravagant items to help ease their life, to get their kids presents, to whatever, and a PS5 is one of those. People are paying over their odds for these, knowing that they're not going to get it until the end of spring, and it could be shipped around the world, and then it's not going to be covered by warranties. People are already taking risks at this point, so it's understandable for people to be a bit sus. That said, YouTubers and content creators pushing that and taking that further, and committing to having proof and whatever, that's bullshit. That is the internet, which it's shit, but it's just one of those things.
Go through it.
So yeah, it's shit, and I do feel for them having so many claims made even before it went on sale, then having the website and stuff went down. But surely they can see. I mean, even with all of this just sounds like a lot of. And I have a lot of respect for these, for what they were trying to do. PS2 is a PS5 console. It looks good as well. It's not just some really shit design that's thrown together. And they tried to, even down to the fact that there was only 304 consoles made. I didn't even know until reading that article on Saturday. That was because the console came out on the 3rd of the 4th, 2000, 30400, 304. Wow, okay. These guys know what they're doing. They are gamers. They understand. Nice. Mm-hmm. So I gave them the benefit of the doubt. But even with all of that considered, this just sounds like well, fuck you. No, it's your fault. No, we are real. Fuck it. No, I don't even care. I'm taking my ball and I'm going home. It sounds like that sort of apology. Not even apology. It sounds like that sort of statement, which understandable if they've been targeted and harassed and they feel they are physically at risk. You can understand that to a point, but it just feels like you've done this. I can't believe I can't believe you've done this. That sort of fucking meme sort of stuff. It sounds like that. And that is actually where I take my issue with it mostly, because I was interested. I was never going to buy. I was interested. I was interested to see what Super 5 did with it. If it all worked perfectly, if the consoles were broken, and if they tried to help people get replacements and all of that sort of stuff. I wanted to see a success story here, so I was interested. But the fact it all went down, okay, fair enough. The fact that the consoles and shit all collapsed and people were being dicks, shit, but fair enough. I don't doubt that Currys and Game and Walmart and GameStop and whoever had attacks. I saw shitloads. I even tweeted something like, I know it's easy for me to say because I've got my PS5, but remember that the people that you're calling names on social media aren't the ones that are responsible for your PS5 not making it to you. I remember tweeting something like that on the day. It's shit. I know it's shit. The reason I tweeted that is because I'm aware it's shit. But you don't delete your social media at that point and then wonder why people are kicking off. You are adding fuel to the fire for yourself.
Doubling down.
Yeah. So it's shit. I do not condone it, but you didn't help yourselves either. You put yourselves out there to be criticised by cutting your own line of communications off. You're putting yourself at risk. If someone's a scammer and they've got your money, what are they going to do? Stick around or disappear? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I do feel for the guys at Super 5, genuinely, seriously, because it's such an amazing design, a great idea, well thought through. But they are a new business, and that is what showed. They shouldn't have had it. They shouldn't have had to deal with it, but they didn't help themselves. But they've learned a couple of things, and hopefully they can sell some consoles to these people and bring themselves back with a bit more grounding that will give them more ideas for protection for themselves and for their consumers going forward.
I think if they'd have done this a year from now, maybe, this would have been a completely different ball game. They would have had the consoles there, I imagine, in their hands. Or if someone would have ordered it in maybe like a 10-day turnaround, so they can go to the shop, get the console, bring it back, modify it, then reship it out, rather than having to wait for the console to come in, wait for the demand to die down, then resell this service. And I'm pretty sure that they'll do a lot better than they would have done now, because there wouldn't have been a huge demand for it. People are kicking off left, right, and centre because they can't get hold of these consoles from anywhere. Never mind a third-party retailer that's potentially taking 300 of the consoles from around the world, modifying and then reselling them on for a tasty profit, let's be honest. So yeah, I think it's just bad timing on their part, but hopefully they'll take what they've learned from this now into a year's time. Just don't shut your comms down. That's all you need to do. Just don't shut your comms down. Don't double down, because people the people aren't going to return. Whoever ordered them originally will not return now.
And if you are going to shut your comms down, if you are going to take that stance, do not then say, well, we thought so the title of this article is Black PS5 Firm Calls Scam Accusations Hurtful and Unfair.
Stay frosty, yeah?
Alpe! Mr. Kangarilla Dog with the 7 months in a row sub. Thank you very much for the Prime, dude. How's things? Shagger. So yeah, you can't call scam claims and accusations hurtful and unfair with the same authority if you aren't trying to stop them. If you are fueling those fires, I'm not saying you're to blame. I don't want to be. It's not victim shaming. That's not what I'm going after. But you can't put out messages which will then add to the fires if you're like, it's just, there's so many incorrect sidesteps that you could have, issues that you could have sidestepped and didn't. Deleting your social media is a wrong call if you want to avoid being called a scam, says Robert Daniel. You commented on that one. Absolutely. Shutting down comms due to mistakes is also the wrong call. Absolutely. If you shut down social media, which happens incredibly often, a lot of brands will just stop talking on social media, which is hurtful because you are just gonna strengthen the hate, which means that when you do start posting again, you will get that hate and you will get it for longer. People don't forget with social media because it's so easy to be a twat. People will continue to be a twat rather than being a dick and you apologising and getting it out and over and done with and addressing the statements. If you just ignore it and then start talking about your next game, you are dooming your next game. It's to a point. So yeah. Tito says, I once bought a ticket off eBay The seller told me all the way through he had the ticket. Everything was fine. Then 5 days before the gig, pardon me, he sent me an email saying he'd been scammed. He had no ticket. He and his family had been harassed, and the police had been contacted. Not implying it's the same, but it sounds the same. And that's it. Not implying that it's the same, but you are looking out for your family and your funds. You are looking out for your best interests, which you absolutely should do. You are trying to be safe in terms of taking that experience and putting it to something else. If you don't learn from past experiences, then what are you even trying to do? That's the point. So people naturally will... Everyone's heard of experiences. Thankfully, not everyone's had to deal with it like you've had, which that's a bit of a shit show. Found out the guy had done it to 39 other people. Police were interested as it was a civil matter, not fraud, apparently. Never got my 200 money back and refuse to use eBay now. Yeah, I mean, I still do use eBay for things.
You
but
bought a reseller of a reseller.
No, he bought off a guy that never had tickets, but he was basically saying that he was waiting to get the tickets off someone else. Just blagged to get 200 quid off him. I've been stung using eBay. I still do use eBay though, because I've got some amazing things off eBay. It's just, there's always an element. I will not use eBay for something mega money unless there is a guarantee. Like I'm buying from a Curry's store on eBay, kind of something like that usually. But yeah, anyway, that's a different thing. But yeah, you will use that experience now. Because you use that experience, you don't use eBay. If eBay has lost your custom over those experiences, then SUP3R5 can't really be surprised that they might not get your custom either. It's just basic logic in that sort of sense. Ridiculous trying to get hold of a Series X, says Plum Rico. You missed it this morning, Plum Rico. I'll get you the link again. I do share this. I've shared it a few times on social media, but IGN UK Deals tweeted this morning that Curry's actually had stock of Series X and S. They've all gone now, so in case you hadn't seen, Xbox Series S is still maintaining stock at the moment, actually, at Curry's. So yeah, the S is still in stock apparently at Curry's. It's probably going to be not delivered until the end of the month, but I think the X consoles have sold out. Anyway, follow IGN UK Deals. We're not affiliated with them. This is just me doing it from my own knowledge. Follow IGN UK Deals. Turn on tweet notifications because they don't tend to tweet very often. So when they do tweet, you'll get notified and you can see, boom, okay, straight through to the link and buy. So this morning, Xbox Series X was on sale. So there we go. I'll show you the tweets on screen for those that are watching. Xbox Series X shown in stock at Curry's PC World, confirmed stock at Curry's for Xbox Series X, and then now looking out of stock at my end. So yeah, they came and they went. So give them a follow, turn tweet notifications on, and that's a good way. I'm not finding I'm getting the notifications from the usual places like Stock Informer and things like that. This isn't automated. This is someone that's actually getting automated stuff and then tweeting it out manually. So these things, as they're going out, you know they're there because they've been vetted by a person, which is good. So worth a try. So yeah, there you go. You might get it. I'm sat looking at it, waiting for PlayStation stuff, but there is no PlayStation stock anywhere. So nice. Anyway, speaking of PlayStations, just to wrap things up, the PS5s that were being built by Super 5 aren't happening. The company insists that it is legitimate, which Bibby says is exactly what an illegitimate company would say if it was caught out. But it also is what a legitimate company would say as well. I still do believe they're legitimate. I do believe they've had a shit show to deal with. And anyone who's a new starter in any form of industry, it can be quite difficult, let alone with the pressures of what PS5 retailers are having to deliver right now. So they bit off more than they can chew. It's a shame. I hope that they manage to turn it around, do deliver those consoles, and then maybe in a couple of years' time they could be the D brand of PS5s. I don't know. We will see. But for now, we are going to wrap things up though. Thank you everyone for joining us through the stream. Thank you for all the follows, the hosts, and Alpi for the sub as well. Much appreciated, dude. And yeah, we're going to disappear. We might be back with Masters of the League imminently. We will see. We're going to have a few discussions off stream. We will tweet out if we do go live. So !socials is to find us on social media if we do go live with that. Speaking of !socials, Bib, is there anything you want to add to that?
Yes, so if there is any video game news knocking around the social media platform of your choice, there is two ways to get hold of us. First of all, find us on social media. We are available on all major social media platforms. Just search at Ice Cream Uploads. You'll be able to go and find us. It's dead easy. Second way, get into our Discord. There's an area on there called The Scoop. I'm looking at the wrong camera. It's this one here. Go find The Scoop. It's on the left-hand side. All you need to do is drop in the URL, add your thoughts and impressions. We will then give you our thoughts and impressions on the very next show, which will be at what time tomorrow, Mr. Graham Day?
10 a.m.
Ish.
Bebo.
Is that actually still going?
Probably.
On MySpace.
Yeah, that's where Donald Trump is tweeting out now. Potentially back with our Pez Master League series. Do you know, I can't even tell you how many episodes we're in, like 50-ish episodes in.
More than that.
60-ish, 70-ish. A lot of episodes. That could be following anytime now. We're just going to see if everything is set up and good to go, and then we might be back with that. So if you want to stick around, if you're not doing anything for the rest of the day, you want to see us taking the reins at Ice Cream Uploads FC. We are the dual management team. We do go into the arena. I mean, obviously, through the power of green screens-ish. We do have a studio. It would be all singing, all dancing. So we're making what we can in these lockdown times without the full use of the studio. But anyway, if we do go live, you will get notified. So stick around. Follow us on Twitter. Get your notifications on. Jobs are good. And until then, have yourselves a fantastic day. And stay frosty.
Stay frosty.